Okay. Hello, hello. Veggie Day. How is everybody feeling today? And you already know how I'm feeling. I'm excited. Okay. I have my chat open. Today, I want it to be a little bit more interactive than we usually do. So let's kick off with a little bit of a focus question. So before we get into it and into the lesson part of the day, I want to know, how has your day been? So I want your rose and your thorn. In the chat, I want you to tell me what was your rose today, like the best part of the day, and then I want to know what your thorn was, like the worst part of the day. Because every day's got a rose and thorn. Even, certain days they're a little bit more extreme, but tell me your rose and thorn today. Tell me in the chat before we kick off. Alexa's better now. That's good to hear. I love that. I want to hear about your rose and thorn then. Is it from this morning with the stupid sandwich? Tell me all about it. Stressful, took some time for myself just to sit with myself and be more mindful. I think that's amazing that you did that. I think that you even just stopping to think to take time for yourself and be more mindful that should be a rose. Thorn being whatever's stressing you out the most, of course. Day is pretty good. Oh no, do you guys hear him crying in the background? He's like freaking out. Let's see. Rose had a nice 3-day vacation and daughter back to school / me back to work. Mom's here and she made us a nice roaster chicken for dinner. Thorn cleaning and up and unpacking. Oh, the worst. The worst. I swear, I feel like when we come back from vacation, we like live out of our suitcases until everything is like dirty again and it just goes from the laundry room. The goal is for it to go away after the laundry room, right? But it goes from like the suitcase to the laundry room to lay on top of my bed until I'm so sick of the pile that I, in an angry way, put everything away. I don't know if anyone can relate to that pipeline, but that's how things get unpacked in my house. Scroll up. Thorn, breakfast was a catastrophe, and I definitely spiked my cortisol and didn't catch a charge. That could be a Rose. You didn't catch a charge. Rose, I had a really great lunch with a friend because tacos heal all. I agree. I agree, especially if they're birria. Oh my God. Birria tacos hit on all of the texture cylinders, I swear. Rose, my cat is okay after having 3 teeth pulled. That's awesome. I hate that they have to like be put under for dental work. Like I wish they could just be like us and just, I mean, granted, sometimes I wish I could be put under for dental work, you know? So, but I know we have to get our dog's teeth cleaned and they have to like put them under for it. It freaks me out. So I'm glad your cat is okay. And being gone all day, Thorn, it was so much money, right? We've gotten quotes anywhere from like $400 to $800 for just the cleaning without extractions or whatever. So I feel that. Anxious since my husband is going to be away to work for 4 days, so I'll be alone a lot. But my rose is that my husband is making us steak for dinner and he did all the laundry. What a gem. We love to see it. And then you and I can talk and plan a little bit for food and stuff over the next few days while you're home alone. Rose, I randomly saw a nice coworker from 9 years ago at my office. Oh, love it. Work fam. And then Thorn, dealing with stupid extra people, doubling down on making people feel like crap about our waist measurements. You know this. You know, we have worked together for a very long time. But I gotta say, a thorn in my side is that you have a job that measures your waist. Unbelievable. I still can't believe it. Like, to this day, I'm like, what do you mean your employer gets to know your waist measurement? Like, insane. I'm so sorry about that. I would be very, very pissed off on a daily basis if people had to know my waist measurement. So that is for sure a thorn. But I'm glad that you got to see your nice coworker. That's awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. Tonight we're going to talk about veggies and well, veggies and side dishes and stuff like that because I feel like people get, and tell me if you guys relate. I feel like a lot of people get hung up on the needing a variety for those side dishes and feeling like there's a million obstacles in their way, especially at the end of the day. And when I say I'll be talking one-on-one with a client and I'll be like, okay, let's talk about dinner. What about side dishes? And they're like, "Oh, I don't have energy for that." Who has felt like that? Or like, I'm not here to cook three different side dishes. That's crazy. Drop a one in the chat if you feel me there, where you're like, side dishes, you're nuts. We're lucky I can make the DoorDash order in time, right? So yeah, the ones flood the chat. I'm over here making one side and calling it a whole meal. Hey, I mean, as long as it's enough, you know. I usually just cook one side dish so it feels manageable. Exactly, because it feels like to make a bunch is just nuts, right? Um, I had a client the other day tell me that and you could totally do this too. You don't have to have side dishes. You know, she's like, I really just like making a steak for dinner and calling it a day. And that's fine too, but I know for a lot of people that at night, here's the issue, right? We have hormone imbalance. Everyone watching this has some varying degree of hormonal imbalance. And we tend to have issues when it comes to working, right? Where you're working all day, you don't get much time in the morning. Even if you're working from home, you got to log on to to work and everything. So it's not like you have time to sit there and make pancakes and have small chat, have small talk, right? Then lunch, I call the middle of the day, I call it the Wild West. So you're out there in the Wild West, you're not trying to make a big meal either. So when do we have typically our largest meal of the day? It tends to be at night. And it tends to be that because we've been go, go, go all day, nighttime is where we want that comfort, the heartiness. We want to feel full. We want to, feel satiated. And the convenient way to get foods that satiate us and feel filling and everything like that are typically very carby. And now carbs aren't the enemy by any means, but if you're really not eating much all day, or you're not eating a ton of carbs and protein, and it's not very balanced throughout the day, which is understandable because we're all kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off. And the only time of day that you're actually eating a carb heavy meal is at night when you're not really going to do much after dinner. You're going to be resting, then that's not serving you any because you're not going to be utilizing those carbs. You're not going to be, so it's going to go into storage. And if you have insulin resistance, especially, you don't want to spike a blood sugar and then have a whole bunch of insulin dumped into your system at night when you won't really be moving much because it's understandable. You've been going all day. So that's why I think it's important to talk about sides because it's not so much about them having to be, I mean, it's not at all about them having to be elaborate. You don't have to worry about it being, like these super healthy quote unquote side dishes. They can just be focused on being delicious and yummy and hearty, just like any other sides you would do. But I want to help take away all of the guesswork and footwork when it comes to making them so that you have more options that have less carbs and you feel like you have a good stock in your fridge and it's just easy to throw together. So, because that's pretty much the whole battle, right? Okay, so first things first. I want you guys to tell me in the chat, what are some common sides that you tend to have for yourself or for your family at night, especially if they're carb heavier? Let's start there. For those of you who already do have sides, but you're looking to maybe not have them be as carb heavy, what do those sides tend to be? Give me some inspo in the chat. Me right now just eating steak alone. Listen, I freaking love steak. I really do. And I don't know if I said this last time. Costco recently, we went there. We got 6 huge steaks that we ended up cutting down because they were so thick. We got 6 huge steaks and it was like $24. So essentially we got like 12 steaks out of that for $24. It's $2 a steak. You can't even get something at McDonald's, like a meal at McDonald's for that amount, so I certainly love steak. And I feel like lately it's been taking over my For You page. Like, I don't know if anyone follows that girl, Tiffany, the one who did like the Tiffany plates with the sausage and like the cottage cheese and the mustard and stuff. Say what you want about her, but her plates were really fun to eat. I was revisiting my early pregnancy cravings. All I wanted were Tiffany plates. And now she's on, I guess she's doing like, she says she's not doing carnivore, but like, let's be real. She eats a whole steak every single day. And just watching her eat it, I don't know why. I don't know why she both annoys me with how she eats and makes me crave what she's eating at the same time. But we did steak last night, long story short. So I love it. Cheesy broccoli steamed with blue cheese dressing. Okay. I love, I miss blue cheese. Like I wasn't like super strict when I was pregnant, but certain things freaked me out. And I didn't eat blue cheese the whole time. And I just forgot about it till you just said it. Anyone ever really love a food, eat it a lot, and then just seemingly it's blipped from your memory and then you just don't eat it anymore until you remember months later? Love that. Brussels sprouts, carrots, mushrooms, broccoli, cauliflower, usually oven roasted. That's fun. Okay, we got some carbs here. Mashed potatoes, which are good. I don't mean to say that like, wow, here come the carbs. But like mashed potatoes, rice sides, pasta sides, fries, sweet potato fries, some of the more carb heavy ones. Yeah, for sure. Um, please send me all of the delicious Brussels sprouts recipes. My colitis doesn't really love Brussels sprouts, but I work from home, so. White rice for sure. Blood sugars go crazy with the white rice. Mustard girl still following. Yeah. I don't even know what to make of it. Like I'll be watching and I have with the tism, I have misophonia and I get very irked by certain things for no apparent reason at all. So like I said, she equally pisses me off and makes me crave what she's eating. Um, Pasta, I can portion out almost all potato side dishes or bread, but pasta is such a weakness because it feels like you can never have enough. Yeah. The question, Chloe, is what carby sides do you find yourself having out of convenience, comfort, whatever at night? I love radishes too, Kathy. Those are great. I was actually just talking to a client yesterday. I forget who I was talking to about it, but when I make potato salad, I will boil potatoes and I'll boil radishes along with it to kind of bulk up the potato salad, but without it being all potato. I love that. I love radishes raw. I love them boiled. I love them in all forms. I love them stuffed with butter and topped with sea salt. So good. Okay. So let's go back. Okay, so listen, we're gonna start with potato. Here's my thought on potatoes. There is no replacing a potato. It is my carb of choice. I freaking love a potato. I always laugh because my Italian grandmother, my dad's mom, she grew up in the war and they would have to go like the bombing sirens would go off and then they would literally go up to caves and like stay in caves until the coast was clear and they would eat a lot of potatoes because obviously they're not going to bring a lot of food with them up there, right? They needed something hearty and good. So they ate a lot of potatoes. And so throughout her whole life, she loved potatoes, and so did I, and I'm named after her. So I'm like, that's why I have this love affair with potatoes. But there's no replacing it. There are things that you can do that give you kind of a starchy fix, like turnips, parsnips, radishes. Those things, I mean, they're all root vegetables, so it makes sense. You eat carrots, but carrots have like a very distinct flavor, but nothing ever fully will replace a potato. And in fact, I don't want you guys to think of any of the swaps I give you as a quote unquote replacement that is one for one, tastes exactly the same. You'll never miss the other thing. I think that that's a slippery slope into us feeling like we have to live on diet food. And I don't think that that's sustainable. I think that all food should be appreciated and enjoyed for it being delicious for what it is, right? Like there's a difference between pita bread and pumpernickel bread, and they're both delicious, but they're completely different. And you're not going to eat pita and expect it to be pumpernickel, and you're not going to eat pumpernickel and expect it to be pita. So I hate when we have diet friendly or like hormone friendly swaps. And I think it just sets us up to take one bite and be like, what the hell is this? And then as soon as I don't know about you, maybe it's tism. If I'm expecting it to be a certain way and the texture is off because it's not like that, I won't want it as much. It'll freak me out, So that's that. Before I go off on a tangent, that's the first thing to remember is no matter what options or swaps I'm going to give you, I want you to think of them as just broadening your options. That was a good word. Rather than completely replacing it and you won't ever miss them again. Because that's just setting you up for failure, right? So all of that to say, what I would swap out for potatoes, I like radishes if you're doing like a boiled potato, like I said. When you boil a radish, it loses its spiciness. So you know how sometimes you can eat a raw radish and it's like literally peppery? That goes away. It's like it has a very soft, kind of bland texture to it, like a potato would rather. It's not quite as like soft and starchy as a potato, but it's very similar and it's full of nutrients and vitamins. Really, really good for you. Really full of iron, magnesium, fantastic. And they're pretty cheap too. So you could do, but for mashed, you could do turnips or parsnips, same spiel. You just boil it, put a little bit of olive oil or butter, some salt, and just mash it up. Turnips and parsnips don't need to be worked as much as potatoes. Like, how when you make mashed potatoes, if you're making it fresh, although I do love a boxed mash, I'm just going to say, no shame in a boxed mash. If you're making it fresh, you know how you have to like really like you put it through the press or you really beat the hell out of it, and then you have to add cream and butter and all this. The parsnip or turnip, you just fork mash it and put a fat of some kind like butter or oil, some good salt, and it's yummy, super yummy. Very easy. You're just boiling something, you don't even have to stand there and look at it. Then what other potato ones we have for fries? I love fried turnips, parsnips. Like you can cut them into strips the same way. You can get a spiralizer if you want like the curly fries. I have no idea how they make waffle fries, I'm not gonna lie, but if you learn how, I'm sure you can do that. You can do. Nick is like, you can just put mashed potatoes in an Eggo waffle type situation. Like, you can take like you can put mashed potato in a waffle iron and it does crisp it up. Like, I guess, those like smiley fries. Did anyone have those in their high school cafeteria where it was like, they were like kind of puffy? They were so good. Oh my God. But essentially that's just what? Peanut Gallery says they're called smiley potatoes. So yeah, I guess you could do that with mashed potato too if you want, whatever. I really love a good fried up turnip or parsnip. Not the same as potato, but I also like the idea of like one of my biggest binge triggers is when I want to continue eating more because I really enjoy something or people around me are still eating, or sometimes I just want that like hand to mouth, like that, not like I just feel noshy, I don't want to be told you can have 7 French fries and then that's it. Like that will immediately make me want more. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but the second that it's like about quote unquote portion control, that's when something in me is like, no, I want to continue eating it and there's more to be eaten. So I like making like regular fries and parsnip and turnip fries, whichever one you pick, so that you can continue eating it, but not all of it is potato. I really enjoyed that. For roasted potatoes, I really like doing roasted radishes. It gets nice and it gets the same kind of crispiness on the outside. I flavor it just like I toss it with olive oil. I peel the radishes and then I toss it with olive oil, garlic salt, surprise, surprise. And then I put it on parchment in the oven. A trick whenever you are roasting vegetables or anything that you want to be crispy. I get this question a lot with the chickpeas because people will be like, no matter how much I bake them, they never come out crispy. A big thing you want to make sure you do is you want to give enough room between each thing that you're roasting. If it's too overcrowded in the pan, it creates steam between all of the items, and then that makes it not crisp up. It makes it kind of mushy. So for the radishes, you can either roast it in the oven, you can air fry them if you'd like, but either way, make sure that it's not overcrowded where they're like right up against each other, and you want to give them some space between. And that's my tip for that. Let me catch up on the chat and then I'll scroll back up for the others. Okay, I don't really do sides anymore. When I was vegan, I did always. Now it's just dinner, which are mainly carby unless it's just steak. I guess potatoes, steamed, or oh, yeah, we're going over that. Potatoes are a sign of God's love for us. I agree. God's like, have a potato, you know? Tism ruins most foods for me. It really is just a continual marathon at life, just within our own brains. If you roast a radish at super high heat and almost burn them, it gets the tater texture too. Totally. And thank you for also sharing my love of nearly burnt vegetables. Like char it. That's what I want. Yum. Never tried that. I need to. Yes, you do. It's so good. Oh yeah, it was Amanda. We were just talking about this. I haven't done it yet, but it's on my list this week. I freaking love radishes. I also recently well, not recently, back when I was doing the whole like Tiffany plate thing and I was obsessed with it, one of my favorite things were I was making like a blue cheese buffalo sauce, which is literally just blue cheese dressing and Frank's mixed together. And I found these radish coins. It's just radishes that they cut into like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the ridges, like they have the ridges on them. It's not the right. Oh my God, this is driving me like crinkle cut. Like they have the ridges on them and it's just like slices, but it's pre-sliced. And dipping radish coins in the buffalo blue sauce is just, oh my God, it's so good. So addictive. I was like blowing through bags of these things. I need to go buy this tomorrow. I've just decided that I need this back in my life. Thank you guys for that. But I wonder how those would be roasted if they're pre-cut already. Yeah, you can also use a mandolin for them. We actually mandolined a whole cucumber, like my friend, what's his name? Oh my God. Oh my God, what's his name on TikTok? This is driving me insane. Starts with an L. Hold on, I need to know this because you guys need to know that. Logan on TikTok and Instagram. Yes, Logan. He needs to eat an entire cucumber and shows you how. And that's what we did for our salad tonight. So we used a mandolin with the cucumbers. So delicious. Okay, so we're good on potatoes, right? All right, let's see. Scrolling back up. Okay, rice sides. Rice is tricky because I hate telling people anything bad about rice, also because it's a cultural food, right? So I don't feel like a complete schmuck telling people like you shouldn't be eating rice. It's not for any other reason besides rice, the structure of rice is very hard on blood sugars. If you have any insulin resistance, diabetes, any of that, it can cause a severe spike. There are ways. I know everybody recently has been seeing, I've been getting a lot of questions about like, and we did this years ago. If you like put it in the fridge and then re-warm it up, it causes resistant starch. Yes, but y'all have a resource here because your girl makes absolutely zero insulin as a type 1 diabetic. So my blood sugars are a direct result without factoring in any kind of insulin response at all. My blood sugars are a direct result of the foods that I'm eating. And to a degree, everybody is different, of course, but I have to calculate my insulin, and I've spent years figuring this out, right? So I have to calculate my insulin for each of the grams of carbs in something, and it has to be an exact. If it's not an exact, my blood sugars go up too high, and then I have to adjust for it later with my insulin pump. I do manually what y'all's bodies do with food, right? I have that formula down to a science. I'm very spot on with it, right? Except when I eat rice. When I eat rice, sometimes I have to take 2 or 3 times as much insulin just to keep my blood sugars not from rising either in a spike or even with resistant starch, which everybody and their mother is now making a TikTok or a reel about this now. Even with the resistant starch, my blood sugars will be higher if I don't account for extra for the rest of the day into the next day. So, and I've seen this with clients who have even type 2 or prediabetes or insulin resistance. They check their blood sugars with the monitor and it's the same thing. They can't figure out why they're running higher. So that's the only reason that I say rice is not so much of a hormone friendly food. If you know me by now, you know I don't like to condemn any foods. And it's delicious. And like I said, it's cultural, it's great, it's filling, all that. It's just not always the most suitable for what we're looking to do if we have hormone imbalance. Okay. That being said, some swaps that I think are really yummy too. I really like, if you haven't tried it yet, shirataki or konjac rice. You might have seen it in the form of like miracle noodles, they're called, or they have like skinny noodles. They're like marketed a whole bunch of different ways. But I think it's the Skinny brand, which I hate the marketing for, but it's a Skinny brand makes the rice ones that I really like. And it's basically just a root vegetable that like it's just all fiber essentially. And they're right in the shape of rice. I love that because it takes the flavor of whatever the hell you're cooking it with. And beyond that, you can have as much as you want of it. It's like all, like I said, it's all fiber. It's just fiber and water essentially. So I could eat 3 bags of that to the face, and I don't even have to take insulin for it at all. It doesn't raise my blood sugars even without insulin. So it's a really good alternative for people who, like I said, I'm a volume eater. I don't like to be told to just have a little bit. And it's really yummy, in my opinion. So I'm a big fan. Then there's also, can you guys hear him crying? I feel so bad continuing if you can hear him. I know I ask you this whenever there's background noise, but I'm paranoid that today's the day you guys can hear him. Can you hear him in the back? Nick is with him. We're not just like letting him cry and anything. Okay. All right, cool. So yes, for the rice, it's shirataki, Shirataki, I think. The name of the root is the konjac root, Konjac. And the brand that I like, I think it's skinny noodles or skinny pasta or something like that. The Skinny brand. But if you look up like konjac rice, you'll see that brand pop up probably on Google. Netrition, for those of you who haven't heard me sing the praises of Netrition, netrition.com has tons of alternatives for so much, and a lot of times has better prices I've found than like Amazon or even in stores. Netrition, like nutrition, but with an E, Netrition. back to where I was so I don't lose my spot. I also really like the palmini rice. Palmini rice is also, I just love all palmini products, to be honest. I'm going to suggest that again for when we get to pasta. But Palmini's the brand. It's basically just hearts of palm noodles or hearts of palm rice. You might find a cheaper brand online than you find in stores than the Palmini brand because they've gotten pretty popular. But hearts of palm rice or hearts of palm pasta, so good. I really like that because it doesn't get mushy. Like it's very hard to overcook it. And I mean, you're eating it, you can taste that it's a vegetable, right? You're not going to eat it and be like, oh, this is rice. Like I said, don't expect that. But it has great texture. It holds flavor really well. It's got good nutrients in it. It's got lots of vitamin C in it. So, and it's very easy. You don't even have to, like with rice and stuff, there's like it's step intensive to make it a lot of times, unless you have a rice cooker. Palmini rice, you just strain, rinse it, and cook it, and like add it to your sauce or whatever. Like heat it up with whatever you're eating it with, and that's it. Like there's no prep for it, you know, which I love. Same thing with the konjac. You just strain it, rinse it, and then add it to your food. So it's actually easier. What else for rice? Ooh, okay. Cauli rice, I really like. I really like cauli rice, but there is a catch. Cauli rice often sucks. Like, if we're just being honest, I don't typically like it that much unless I make it and I make it my way. And the way I make it my way is you must strain it. You must strain the hell out of any cauliflower product that you are using, whether it's cauli mash. Oh yeah, I forgot about that with the mashed potato. Cauli mash, cauli rice, whatever it is. If you remember from, I did this a couple Zooms ago, I think I talked about it, but the fartiness in cauliflower products comes from the excess water when you're cooking it. So my ultimate cauli rice, if you guys are taking notes, you want to write this one down. Get the microwave, like the steam and microwave cauli rice. Do it for like a minute under what they recommend you do. Take it out. Right. So, bless you. Microwave your rice. Strain it out. I'm sorry. Microwave your rice a minute less. Strain it out. As much liquid as you can. I even in the past, like if you feel like you don't have a little like hand strainer or something that's like a fine strainer, get coffee filters. They're super cheap, and line whatever strainer you have, if it's like the big holes or whatever, line it with your coffee filters and then strain it in that. Get out as much liquid as you can because the fartiness is in the liquid. Excess liquid with vegetables in general is the enemy. It's the enemy of flavor. So that's why I think veggies get like a bad rap because they're like watery, bland, mushy. Ugh. So strain it. Okay. Then you're going to take a pan. You're going to heat that bad boy up, heat that pan up. And when the pan's really hot, you're going to add some butter, add your cauli rice, and then you can put your seasonings. I like to put some shredded cheese. If you have like a vegan cheese, for those of you who are dairy free that you like, that gets, you know, melty, but doesn't taste like plastic, add it there. You could do nutritional yeast. If you're not, I like to do Parmesan. Of course, garlic salt, you know, the trifecta: garlic salt, sesame oil, soy sauce. You see me use that all the time, right? Then just cook it until everything is like, until the cheese that you add is nice and bubbly. You've cooked off some of the excess fluid further. It smells good. It doesn't look like bland and watery, right? It's delicious. I promise you. It's so good. Is it rice? No, it's cauliflower. You're eating cauliflower, but it's delicious cauliflower and it's very easy to do. Microwave pan, done in 5 minutes tops. That's pretty much all I got for rice. Yeah, the konjac, palmini, cauliflower. Okay. How are we doing on rice? Any questions, thoughts on that? I think I've also seen like rice broccoli. Rice broccoli is really good with cheddar. It's like a broccoli cheddar soup, but in a riced form. Palmini is randomly at TJ Maxx and Home Goods for very cheap. I've seen that before and I love that. I love the other day, our Home Goods had like no, like I usually go there for my pick, like they have special like pickled stuff. Like they'll have pickled green beans or pickled asparagus or different olives and stuff. I don't know why it's at Home Goods, but whatever. And it's usually cheap. They had like nothing the other day. I was so bummed. Okay. And then last but not least, I think we have here, I'm reading through all the suggestions. Pasta. Pasta. Okay. So pasta is another one that is difficult because gluten is the structure and stuff, right? Gluten, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people, I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum here. I know a lot of people really like chickpea pasta. I can't do it. I hate the texture. I just do. I hate it. It's got a lot more protein. It's got a lot more fiber, but it's kind of still carb heavy. It's not, maybe not as carb heavy, I think, as regular pasta, but for me, I personally can't stand the texture. It just bothers me so much. It's like thick and like it's like thick but not flexible chewy, which is what I really like about pasta. So that being said, when you remove the gluten in the scenario of regular pasta, you remove the texture, which I think a lot of people really love. At least that's my favorite part of pasta, you know? And I don't know if anyone wants a repeat of this little science lesson, but if not, we'll get a drink of water and come back. But gluten, when the more you agitate the flour in something, the more you mix it or knead it or whatever, stretch it, you know, the chewier and the harder it can become. Like the more you work it, the more the gluten is formed in a product. That's why with baked goods and recipes like cakes and stuff, it tells you not to over mix because then it'll give you like a very dense, just not like hard, dry cake versus like light and fluffy and crumbly. But if you see the way they beat the hell out of pizza dough or how they put the pasta through the machine a million times, and then you look at the texture of like a crust or the chewy stretchiness of pasta, that's all gluten that can, you know, is responsible for that texture. So if you're going gluten-free, that's where you can run into hard, you know, some tough spots. So I'm going to give you my favorite suggestions for quote unquote pasta, like pasta types of sides. But again, try to enjoy them for what they are, remembering that pasta is delicious and so are these side dishes. But by no means are you going to eat it and be like, could have fooled me, that's pasta. You'll know the jig is up and then it's not going to be enjoyable. So, disclaimer ahead. My favorite pasta or I don't want to say replacements, swaps, I guess we'll say. One, I really like the brand is called Zen B. Zen like yoga, like you know, Zen B. I love that. I'm like, this is my yoga pose. I'm like, you know, Zen B pasta. It's made from yellow peas, so it's got a lot of protein in it. The texture on that is like fantastic. It's got a nice chew to it. It's not thick. Like it's not like super thick and like mealy, like in my opinion. Sorry to hate on the chickpea pasta, that chickpea pasta can have that kind of texture. It's just very good. You know, I would say it's probably as close to pasta as one other option I'm going to tell you. Like it's up there. It's pretty close. And tons of protein, which is a win-win for everybody. They make different pasta shapes. They make their linguine is my favorite though, or like spaghetti, like the long spaghetti. So yummy. And you make it just like regular pasta. Also, what's good about that is if you're making a sauce, you can just, you know how sometimes the sauce will tell you to add pasta water to it? The peas are still kind of starchy. So the pasta water that comes with the Zen B pasta is still going to do the job like a regular pasta water would. So Zen B pasta, love it, love it, love it. I don't think it's on, I'm not sure if it's on Nutrition or not. I think it might just be on Amazon or direct, you know, from whatever website you find. Then second place, what is it? LC Foods is the brand. LC Foods, like Lauren Conrad, LC Foods. And they make a pasta. I love their pasta. They have like a bunch of different styles, like they have fettuccine, they have angel hair. My favorite is their egg noodles. They come rolled up, which are so cute because then you cook them and then they unravel and it's, I don't know, it's like novelty to me. I love it. And they're like fluffy and wider. But all of their noodle types are great. The caveat is that in my opinion, it's very pricey. I think I've seen like $10 to $12 for a package. I don't remember. I think it's like, I think you do get 2 servings per package. But when you think about how cheap pasta is, like that sucks, in my opinion. It's worth it. I would splurge on it if it's not within the budget. It also has a bunch of protein in it. The texture is really, really great with it. It holds on to sauce very well. And I find that the LC noodles or LC pasta, I find it on Nutrition. I haven't even looked for it elsewhere. But they actually, is it? No, it's a different brand. Forgot about this with MASH. There's a brand called Dixie Carb Counters, like the Dixie Chicks on Nutrition as well. They make a lower carb instant mashed potato that's actually really good. Also kind of pricey though. Excuse me, I'm like losing my voice. So LC noodles, my favorite. And Zenbi. There's also, if you're gonna make it, trying to think, I do really like this brand called Kaizen pasta. If you follow the account on Instagram called Shred Happens, the guy is just he's amazing who runs that account. I love him. He's just such a good human being, you know. I've actually like DM'd with him before. He sent me boxes of pasta to try out and stuff, and I love that when like a small business owner actually gets to know his following and followers. In case you can't tell, I take that relationship serious, you know, between you and your followers. So he's great. And he created Kaizen pasta, which is Kaizen. It's made from, I think, like almond flour and lupini beans. So it's got protein in it, it's got fiber in it. Here's my problem. It is a little bit reminiscent of chickpea pasta, in my opinion. So I'm not like obsessed with it, but I do love the fact that it's got fiber and it's got a ton of protein in it and it's pretty low carb. More so even than the others and Zenbi and the LC noodles. And he doesn't make them in like spaghetti form. His are more like, he has what is it, like cavatappi. He's got like elbows. He doesn't have shells. I wish he did. He's got like, I think he has like little, I think he makes ziti now. He's got a few different shapes. I have found that that pasta is best if you're not going to mix it a whole lot because it doesn't really hold up well. It can break apart pretty easily, even if it's not overcooked. If it's undercooked at all, that shit's gonna stick to your teeth till next century. It's very like sticky and then that bothers me. So it's a little finicky, but again, it's great for extra protein. I eat it, you know, I occasionally eat it when I'm in a bind and I don't have my other pasta. I know I'm doing a great job of selling it, but just being honest, you might love the texture of it, you know, but I tend to like it too. I'll put it in the fridge and I'll use it for like a pasta salad type of situation, where I'm just tossing it with like solid ingredients, not so much trying to get a sauce through it, and it holds up pretty well, and it's really good in that capacity. So I prefer that cold. I'm trying to think what else. Palmini noodles. I love palmini noodles, man. I'm freaking telling you. Those of you who have been to the retreats, I pretty much always make a palmini dish of some kind, and it's just so yummy, you know? So my favorite, for writing this down, my favorite way to make it, you strain it out, you like strain it, rinse it, whatever. Then let it sit so it the excess fluid drains. In a hot pan, butter, garlic salt, surprise. And then when that's warmed up, melted, hot, you put your noodles back in, toss it so it gets coated, cook it so it's almost like you're sauteing it or you're frying it up a bit. And then you add some soy sauce, the rest of the trifecta, some soy sauce, some sesame oil, maybe a little red pepper. Delicious. And just cook that till the noodles are like a little bit browned at the edges. Obviously it'll be brown because of the soy sauce, but like browned in the way that I discussed with you guys on the other Zoom, where it's like charred a little bit. So good. And again, strain it in a pan with seasonings, and that's it. It's not difficult. 5 minutes tops. Sometimes in the other retreat I did in California, I added chickpeas to it. Fantastic. I sauteed it all together. So good. But I love palmini noodles. There's zucchini noodles and stuff like that, but to be honest with you, I don't like them. They get mushy. They get too mushy in my opinion, So I could take them or leave them. Palmini noodles are good because while they are a veggie, and like I said, with the rice, they got nutrients and everything in them. They're not, you can't overcook them very easily. Whereas you can absolutely overcook the hell out of zucchini noodles. And I can't stand a mushy vegetable unless it's on purpose. So those are my favorite. If I think of any others, because I feel like I'm forgetting one and it's annoying me. Oh, thank you. Trader Joe's cauliflower gnocchi. It's not like what you would think of pasta typically. We're actually having them tonight. So good. They're really easy. You just put them in a hot pan with some olive oil or some butter, and you just sear them up and sear it in the pan, shake the pan so they don't stick until they're done, and then add whatever flavoring. And they're very, very yummy. And they're frozen, so you're not most of the stuff is like canned, frozen, like that. I don't like to keep things that I have to cook before it goes bad, because with ADHD, it'll go bad. Like produce comes to my fridge to die. So, I'm a big fan of frozen or canned. Okay. Let's see what else. Am I missing any? Scrolling down through the chat. Okay. Question about potatoes. Can you mix cauli or broccoli with them too to mix it up? Or is that still too starchy or carby? No, that's a great way to kind of stretch it to give some more heft to your side dish without it having to be carby. Cauliflower and broccoli are great. Just be careful with your stomach, because sometimes my stomach doesn't handle broccoli all that well since it's just very fibrous. Is that fancy rice? Which one is which fancy rice? Sorry. I'm with you. I hate chickpea pasta, but I love chickpeas. Story of my life. I hate chickpea pasta, but I love chickpeas. Could be the name of my next LP. I heard you talk about Banza pasta. I heard you talk about Banza pasta lying about their sugar content. That's typical gluten-free pasta I like. I wouldn't say necessarily that they're lying about it. It's that it has a very big impact on my blood sugars more than their label will dictate. Like, again, it should be really easy, right? If I'm trying to calculate my insulin for the carbs I'm eating, it's harder when it's like a fresh veggie, let's say, because you know, you have to like, I'm not going to sit there and weigh that shit out. So to a degree, I'm kind of guesstimating how much of a serving I'm having. When it's something with a label on it, I should really be able to calculate that pretty easily, you know? And again, you might say, oh, you're not weighing it out, but it has serving sizes on it. So if I'm dividing the box up by serving sizes, I should be not that far off, especially with me now knowing doing this since I was 7. I have a pretty good understanding of like what a serving size is, right? So whenever I had eaten the pasta in the past, my blood sugars would go higher than if I ate regular pasta. So at the end of the day, it's like, why are we even doing this to ourselves? Unless you have celiac, you know, like why are you doing this? Or unless you get the runs from gluten, you know what I mean? Like if it's just for the carbs that you're eating Banza pasta, but it's causing a bigger blood sugar spike than regular pasta, it doesn't make sense. So for that being said, I would maybe add additional protein to your pasta. If you do love Banza and it is your go-to gluten-free pasta, I would add additional protein to it, just so that it is a little bit easier on your blood sugars. And yeah, just monitor how you do with it, how you feel. If you don't have a glucose monitor, which is, you know, I don't expect everyone to have one. If you don't have a glucose monitor, pay attention to if you feel super exhausted after you eat it, because that's a good indication that it's caused some kind of fluctuation with your blood sugar. Chickpea or lentil pasta bloats the shit out of me. Honestly, same. Chickpeas don't. And if I'm eating like lentil soup, it doesn't necessarily, but when it's made into a pasta, it for sure does. My stomach does not like to break that down. Have you tried Capello's? I have seen it, but I haven't tried. It's almond flour based. I haven't tried it. I've seen it. I've been curious to try it. That's the one that's like in the freezer aisle, right? It's in the frozen aisle. Yeah. Maybe I'll give that a shot this week because I haven't. And I have been curious. I've heard good things. And I also heard, what is it, like the Kevin's prepared meals, like they have noodles in them. I don't know if those are gluten-free or not, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but I've heard that they're lower carb. So maybe this is a silly question. Let me scroll back up. Maybe silly question, but since these are sides, what would you serve with these potato, rice, pasta swap options? These are like meals for me. Well, I mean, it's also in the amount that you're having, right? Like if you're sitting down with like a whole plate of it, have at it. That could totally be your meal, you know? I don't have a ton of it. Like I'll eat it with my main thing. I usually make some kind of a meat or a protein, and then these will be the sides that I make. And remember, I'm rattling off a lot at you, right? This is recorded. You can refer back to it. You have the bite builder that you can look at. All of the sides that I've told you about today are literally 5 to 10 minutes tops, like unless you're roasting something. And then the bulk of the time is in the oven. It's not even in prep, right? So I just make some kind of a meat. Like tonight, I quickly mixed together a meatloaf. I made 3 meatloafs, so we can store some. And I'm gonna have that with the cucumber salad that I talked about before, and Trader Joe's frozen garlicky cabbage, and the cauliflower gnocchi. And Nick and I both just pick at this, you know, like, and if we have extra, we save it for tomorrow or whatever. I like to save my sides and add it to my morning omelet. Like I'll just throw it in a pan with some eggs and eat them. Isn't it so funny? Because I always think of this, like a lot of my clients might think they eat a lot, or sometimes they realize they don't, but their doctors act like they're just sitting around eating a ton of food. And then I talk about how much food we eat, and people are always surprised. I don't know. I like a hefty meal. I like a big bitch for dinner. So, nashiki is what I was talking about when I asked about fancy rice. Ooh, I haven't heard of that. Now I got something new to look at. I love it. When I asked about fancy rice, but shirataki is not the same. No, shirataki is like a translucent root vegetable. It's also very good in my Greek lemon soup. The recipe for that is on the Facebook page, but it's also going to be in this week's Bite Builder. So keep an eye out for that on Monday. But I love shirataki rice in the Greek lemon soup. So good. Capello's is freezer aisle. The pizza's awesome. That's amazing. I want to try it. I will report back. A lot of Kevin's are gluten-free. Awesome. I'd love to talk about protein additions to this one-on-one. Sure thing. Yeah, definitely. All right. So I think, what do we got? We're at 9:30 now. A couple of other side dishes I wanted to tell you about before I let you go are the way that you cut fresh veggies for sides, like salads, side dish, like I know the whole thing's on side dishes. I don't know how to describe it. Like, do you guys, when I say a salad, do you think of like it has to be a lettuce salad? Because to me, a salad is anything that's like a cold vegetable side. And there's so many ways to make those. It basically, you want to think of two things: texture and the dressing. That's it. Now, if the only salads you have are like those big chunky pizzeria salads, then yeah, you're probably going to hate salad because it's the worst. Yeah, salad to me is 5 ingredients and cold. That's the only rule. It doesn't even need to be 5 ingredients, let's say, but I think the biggest thing is the texture, the way you chop up your vegetables matters so much in the final product. So, for example, you have your pizzeria shit, right? Where it's like they're cut a whole tomato essentially and like a half a carrot on top of some big ass piece of lettuce. Who wants to eat that? I mean, I would because I like vegetables, but it's not very palatable as a side dish. It's just some veggies. That's ingredients at that point, right? But then if you slice up tomatoes really thin and you add very thinly sliced shallots or red onions, you add some capers and then a vinaigrette. That's a whole other experience. If you dice them up with some onions and make it into pico or bruschetta, that's a whole other beast, right? And it's basically reliant on what? The size and the way that you cut it and the dressing that you add to it. A wedge salad. I friggin' love a wedge salad. Oh my God. I love it. I love taking a fork and knife to a big piece of iceberg with like blue cheese and bacon, tomatoes. Oh, I'll always order a wedge at a restaurant. And was that the way that the veggies are cut, the dressing that's with it. So that's really the ultimate thing is when you're trying to make some kind of a cold veggie side, think of the mouthfeel of the veggies that you're going to be eating and think about how you want that to be and cut it accordingly. The cucumber salad we made tonight, sliced thin on a mandolin. You can use a knife if you don't have a mandolin, but and then mixed with the trifecta, the soy sauce, sesame oil, garlic salt, a little bit of olive oil. Fantastic. You take a peeler. If you don't have a mandolin, another tip is take a veggie peeler and just continue to peel whatever it is, a daikon radish, cucumber, a carrot, whatever it is. You just peel, and it ends up ribboning. Like it cuts these long, thin ribbon strips of whatever vegetable you are eating with it. Throw some vinaigrette on that. Delicious. I promise you. And it really has to do with the way you cut the veggie, the dressing that you add. That's all it is with cold veggie sides, or salads, if you will. Okay, so I don't want to overwhelm you guys. You probably are already overwhelmed from the amount of foods that I've listed off for you for today. Before we part ways, I want you to tell me in the comments, what is your biggest takeaway? Biggest takeaway from the dishes that I've described to you or what we went over tonight? Tell me one thought or thing before you jump. And this recording will be up so you guys can refer back to it. I want to work on a protein guide. I know I have the protein cheat sheet in the page, but I want to work on like a protein, like a dinner kind of guide, like a meat or veggie protein kind of guide. I'm overthinking. We got Alexis takeaway. I'm overthinking how complicated the sides need to be. Yeah, you know, just throw it together with some good flavor. One takeaway, when in doubt for sides, add garlic salt, soy sauce, and sesame oil. Yes. Those of you who don't do soy sauce in here, you can do liquid aminos. I love carbs. I pair protein with them, but I don't think it's enough. I think texture and taste for substitutions for potatoes will be helpful for me regarding prep. Yeah, and feel free to text me. If you need additional walking through, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, this jerk. Like, I'm going to be like, oh, yay. I love talking about this stuff. So for sure, text me if you're like, I don't know what to do with what I got on hand. We will come up with something really yummy. I promise. And by the way, iPhone 3, who are you? Because I want to know who I'm talking with. And I can't see. Heather, hi. Okay. Awesome to have you here. Yeah, definitely text me about the veggie sides because I love me some sides. Cold veggie sides are just as good as hot or warm sides. Yeah, it's just a different experience, but the flavor, the texture, it's a fun experience. It's variety to your meal. And you don't have to cook it. You just kind of throw it together. So awesome stuff. I love doing this kind of stuff, these kinds of Zooms with you. If you need any additional help, you let me know. By the way, I'm starting something new. All things to be posted in the CCA page. To keep it from getting overwhelming, I'm going to be posting only on Mondays. So like meals of the wow, that's a throwback. Bite Builder, anything for the week ahead, any kind of promotional anything. I'm only going to be posting in the page on Mondays. If you guys want to post like for support or questions, whatever, keep it going. But I'm anything for me, if you guys want like, and if you're not on Facebook a lot, just check on Mondays and then that's when I will have posted anything that needs to be posted. Okay, rather than having you guys have to check throughout the week and potentially missing something if you don't go on there a lot. Okay, so I hope this helps. I hope you feel excited and inspired. And I hope you let me know if you need anything. All right, enjoy your night. Bye.